Hi, can everyone hear me? I'm here.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yay. Oh my goodness, I just got back, so I was running in and I'm on the road for everybody who's joining me. So that worked out perfectly. I was like,
Jealous. I think you're in Texas, right?
I am. Yeah. So I was like, my Uber, like we had pictures this morning. So then I was just like, flying back to my place. So I'm here. Yay. We made it. Can you hear me okay? I don't have my.
Yes,
Okay,
I can hear you perfectly.
it's awesome. And I wanted to make sure I had my documents that I wanted to. Can I share my screen on this or
Yep.
open share menu? Probably. Okay.
Mhm.
Awesome. Perfect. Great. Well, good. Well, I will dive right in then. So just kind of swooping in here, but for everybody who's watching now or catching the replay later. My name is Amber Bender. I'm a functional medicine physician assistant, and I'm also an eating psychology coach. So I really help people that are struggling with fitting just healthy hacks into their very busy lifestyle. A lot of people are, of course, we all are very stressed out, but on that brink of burnout and really want to achieve that healthy lifestyle, but are finding that with how busy we are, everything we have on our plate, that it's very difficult. And then also with our stress levels, finding that we a lot of times turn to food and not the great food options, and then later on have that guilt and shame feeling about it and don't feel like we're progressing with our health goals. So I think that there is so much information out there all the time about nutrition, about diet, about what I should do for my health. And I think we get really, really bombarded by that. And so that kind of inspired the reason why I wanted to do my talk today, because I really focus on honing in on developing a nutrition foundation or structure for each individual, because as we know, and as you may have tried before in the past, what works for us or what works for someone else may not work for us. So a lot of times we hear somebody had great results doing a certain type of diet, a certain type of nutrition plan, keto, low carb, intermittent fasting, raw diet. We were bombarded with all this information, and maybe they had good results, so we try it too, but then we don't have as good of an outcome. And then we get frustrated. And it's this continual feeling of one step forward, two steps back on our health journey. And that's when a lot of times we get into, I call it throw in the towel mode, where we get frustrated and it's very easy to throw in the towel. So, how do we navigate and streamline this process so that we can basically come up with the best plan for us? And so this is where I come in as a functional medicine practitioner. I do specialized lab testing, but not only specialized lab testing in just general areas of health, right? And hormones and metabolism. Everybody's really interested in that. But I think what is so, so fun for people, for my clients, those that I work with, is that I do genetics testing for food and nutrition too. So that essentially can eliminate trying all of the things, because then we have a very direct approach. What types of foods are best for my body that I need, that I may be insufficient of or deficient in? And not everybody, based on their DNA, and that's why we call this eating to your DNA, not everyone, based on our biology that makes us up, our genetic code, is best for a ketogenic diet. Some of us are, but some aren't. So when we get these tests, when we look at the genes, when we look at the DNA of diet, and I'm actually going to share my screen and show you what some of these reports look like, because I think it's very powerful to actually see it and see what it looks like instead of me just talking about it. But it's very helpful. And I always tell my community, my clients, those that I'm speaking to or working with, that yes, we do need to have that kind of that open mindset and almost be like an experiment of things, because we do have to trial things out and see, does this work for me right now where my body is at? And like we said, everyone else is different. Like we can't compare ourselves to someone else because what works for them may not work for us. But also on this journey, what works for us down the line or in the past may not work for us right now. Our bodies are always in these seasons of change, transition. So it is good to have an open mind and experiment and see what works. But when we have that guiding point, that like North Star of here's your genetics and this is what's best for you. These are the foods that will fuel you the best for, yes, your metabolism, your hormones, all of those things. Then it gives a little bit more direction. And yeah, we can be open minded and try different things out and introduce foods and all of that. But at least we have, I like to call it a nutritional foundation or a structure. And it's also for a lifetime. It's a long term. It's sustainability. And why is that? Because it's based on your genetics. It's based on your DNA. It doesn't change. So you don't have to try all of the things over and over again when we know what's best for you based on that. So what I wanted to do is actually share my screen, and I'll bring up two reports so I can just kind of show you guys what this looks like into action. And I think that's really powerful. So let me do that. And let me know if, let's see, I wonder if I can share a window, maybe. Because I have them as separate documents, but I can bring them up too. It's all right.
You should be able to share each window.
Yes, I might have to bring it up in a window, which is totally fine. I'm going to do that. Okay, hang on one sec. I'm here. I think it's just really cool to see. So you guys can still see me okay? Perfect. Let me just bring this up for y'all. I'm just logging into my actual account. Okay, perfect. Okay. Almost there. All right, my friends, let's go to, perfect. All right. Well, we'll start here. We'll share with the first one. I don't know if I can share the second one, but we'll at least share this first one. So let me do this. All right. All right. Can you see my screen now? Can you see that? That's okay? Yes. Okay, cool. Okay, very good.
Sorry, I forgot that I was muted.
You're fine. All right, and I actually opened up and now I can see that. Thanks everyone for riding with our tech. You know how it's a little bit of, we always roll with it. It's how it is.
Have to.
We have to. Perfect. Okay, good. So this one you see on the screen is called DNA Diet. And so this one is really just fun for everyone when we actually can get our genetics of our nutrition. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit, and really this is so powerful because it really is, like it says here, it's personalized healthcare. It's personalized to the actual person. And so if I go down, if you can see here on the top of the screen, it says based on the analysis of your genes. So this is based on this person, no one else alone, based on them and their profile. A Mediterranean style diet is the best for them, not only for their genes, but also to manage their weight too. So a Mediterranean style diet, as we know, is a lot of those leafy green vegetables, a lot of vegetables, the cruciferous family, all of that, the healthy fats, the omega-3 fatty acids, really important to bring those things in. But what's really cool about this, if you're thinking, that's cool, Mediterranean diet, I'm not super familiar with that. I don't know exactly what that would look like. What I love about this report is that, and I know I'm scrolling a little bit, I hope I'm not making everybody dizzy, but I'll go down. What I love about each report is based on your nutrition structure, your nutrition foundation that's best for you. It gives you that structure. This person was the Mediterranean style diet, but it also gives you your personalized food guide pyramid. So we all learned back in school about the food pyramid, right? And we had that pyramid, and on the bottom it was like a lot of carbs, and all that. And we know that that doesn't work for every single person. And if it did, we would all feel really amazing and be doing well with our health. So for this individual, it gives them a guideline. It gives you on the base of that pyramid what foods to really focus. I like to phrase it as what foods to really focus on the most. So that's at the base of the pyramid. And I know it might be kind of hard to see here, but on the base of it is fruits, vegetables, whole grains, things like olive oil. Again, those legumes, nuts, seeds, healthy omega-3 fatty acids type of things. And then going up on the tier, we have some protein. A Mediterranean style diet is fish is one of the highlights of that. But for a lot of my clients, they don't like fish. So we have to find different alternatives for those things, but we can easily do that. And then moving up, we have more of the protein sources, and of course less on that pyramid is some of the red meats, some of the sweets. But then we just get some recommendations, some guidelines on the right, just a description of that plan for the person. We have a breakdown on the top here about what each macronutrient is and some examples of that, so we can really focus on it. The other really cool thing about this report that's called DNA Diet that I do with every person that I work with is looking at different, we call them priority areas. So this just highlights, based on your genetic code, what are you more likely to have a predisposition to. And I think this is really great to note. When we get a genetics report, it's always important to remember that just because something is evident in your genetics, in your DNA results, does not mean that you're going to get that, does not mean that it's absolutely true, does not mean that it manifests or it presents in your life. It just means you have the genetic code there. So whenever I do the DNA testing, all of the priority areas or biological areas that we look at focus on areas of our lifestyle that we can influence and we can change by our lifestyle habits, by our environment, by how we live our lives. So there are things in our genetic code, right, that we're born with something, we can't change that. There may be medical conditions, an illness, a disease, and we have that. For example, my mom is type 1 diabetic. She got it when she was a very young girl. It wasn't like she could decide if she was switching on or off that gene. She had that. But all of the areas that I test for when I get the genetics testing are all areas where we can have some say. But depending on how we live our lives and those choices we make, those decisions that we make with our nutrition, with our exercise, with our stress, with our sleep, relationships, all of these areas of healing, we have some control here. And so with that control, we can decide if those genes are turned on or off. So kind of cool there and very empowering in our journey. And so what I wanted to show you here in the priority areas, if we scroll down for this specific individual, it notes here 2 priority areas. And I really like this because it really helps to guide our lifestyle, guide our nutrition planning. So I know it might be hard to read, so I'll summarize a little bit. But what it says is for 2 priority areas here, one is snacking and satiety. So when this pops up on someone's genetic testing, it really means that that individual they're not as sensitive to what I like to call hunger cues and fullness cues. So we all have those hormones, right? That are our hormones of satiety, our hormones of hunger, our hormones of feeling full, feeling satisfied, right? So some of those that you may have heard of: leptin, ghrelin, CCK. And what happens is those are our cues, our body cues that signal to us, okay, I've eaten, I'm satisfied, it's enough, you don't have to keep eating. Or when we're really hungry, we feel that hunger sensation. Or if we've eaten a really diverse meal that's just filled with all different kinds of vitamins and minerals and macronutrients, that satiety cue goes off and says, I'm really satisfied with that meal. Now, what we know is that not everyone is as sensitive to receiving these cues, to receiving these messages. So a lot of times I'll have people say to me, Amber, people talk about listening to your body and your hunger and fullness cues and really just paying attention to those. And they're like, I don't feel that. I don't feel like I'm very in tune with my appetite. Some people can relate this to thirst. They don't get that message really early on that they're thirsty until they're like really, really dehydrated. So for some of us, we just don't receive or pick up on those messages very sensitively. And so for this individual with snacking and satiety here, that person doesn't really feel that satisfaction, that fullness after meals sometimes. So what do we do here? So because of that, sometimes this can tend to lead to us feeling like we're doing the endless snacking between meals. We're always in the kitchen. We're always going to snacks. We're always in the cabinets. A lot of people will say, I feel like a bottomless pit. I just cannot stop the snacking all the time. And of course, there's other variables that come into play here. We have to look at lifestyle and what's going on and the types of food choices we're making, all of that. But for this individual that isn't as sensitive to these hunger cues, to these fullness cues that the body is giving us through our hormone signaling, for this person, we would make a nutritional structure or foundation or plan out for them where we would focus on 3 very square meals throughout the day. So very balanced and more full meals throughout our day. Some people, based on their genetics, it's better for them to have, say, smaller, more frequent meals throughout the day based on, say, their metabolism. So everyone is different, but for this person, we should really focus on those 3 square meals because that can help us to eliminate some of the snacking all the time in between meals and late night snacking, feel like they're constantly overeating at night. This is just based on their genetics. And so when we do that, this individual can feel more satisfied with their meals and not feel like we're constantly going into the kitchen grabbing all of the things. So that's one thing that comes up a lot for clients, and they really are like, oh my gosh, I'm mind blown by that because I feel like I don't get those cues all the time. Feel like I'm one of those people too. And so the other one on here, the second one, is talking about circadian rhythms. And really what that means is it just has to do with our sweet sleep and wake cycles. So different hormones that rise at the beginning of our day and kind of fall through the night. And then also at night, different hormones like melatonin, right, rises up so that we prepare our body for sleep. But also we have different, according to those circadian rhythms, we have different times of the day where our metabolism is more fired up and fueled up. So for this person, it's saying at nighttime, for all of us, our metabolism slows down at night, right? But for this individual, the metabolism is really slow at night. So for him or her, we might want to taper off on the eating a couple hours before bed. Say 2 hours before bed, stop eating to allow enough time, that buffer time, for our bodies to get into that relaxation mode, that parasympathetic mode. That's where all the digestion and assimilation occurs. Because the last thing we want to do is go to bed at night and our body is trying to focus on digestion when we're trying to go to sleep, and it's supposed to be focusing on recharging, repairing, restoring, renewing all the cells, right? And really resting. Our brain is resting at that time. So based on this person, we would say at night, maybe we want to have a smaller dinner, and our meals throughout the day, like breakfast and lunch and snack, we have more of our calories, like kind of front loaded, I call it front loaded with our day. And then a smaller dinner at night, and maybe not so many snacks right before bedtime. So if you've ever thought of that, like, oh, I'm going to try, I hear this all the time, I'm going to try not eating 2 hours before bed, and maybe that will help. Or I really need to stop eating before bed. Well, what we know is based on your genetics, we can find out if that would be effective for you, if that would be optimal for you. For other people that don't have this show up on their DNA results, maybe they don't have to kill themselves and not eat a couple hours before bed, right? Because again, we hear all of this information and it's like, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try that. Well, now we know what we should do based on these tests right here. It really streamlines the approach. So we're not just guessing, and we're not just deciding like this is what I need to eat versus this is, not those types of things. So it really streamlines the approach. And let me see if there's any questions, just bring them up in the chat, but I really want to pull up the other report too. So let me see if I can manage that for y'all. We can do it. Let's see here. Let's see. Give me just a minute. I was hoping I would have it in here. Let's see. When I share my screen, am I able to share like a separate window? Because I have, okay, let me try it.
Yeah, so you stop sharing and then share again.
Mm-hmm.
That should give you the option to pull up a menu. And then if you go under entire screen or Chrome tab or whichever, you're going to be able to go through whatever screens you want to share. You can do the entire screen, a window, or the tabs or certain tabs.
That was it, entire screen. Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see if that worked. That was the one I wanted to do. Are you seeing entire screen at all?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. I did choose it. All right. Let's see.
I think you still have to select. There you go.
Oh, okay. Yay. Okay, cool. And then if I bring that up, is that coming up? DNA health?
Yeah. Right now you're on the screen.
Oh, am I? Oh my
Well,
goodness.
it's the happen session on the screen right now. So we're tunneled all the way through.
Okay. I wonder if I put this. So if I pull this forward.
Another tab, just click over because I can see all of your tabs. You can click over to what the tab that it's in.
Okay. It's like a separate PDF. It's not in a tab.
Oh, I gotcha.
You know what I mean? Yeah, that's why I was like, ugh.
The bottom though, shouldn't you?
Oh, my goodness. Let's see. I know. I wish I could put it in like I want to put it in a tab, but it's like a separate PDF that I have saved.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Well, even sharing the screen, it'll still pull it up if you click on that. I think click on that PDF. That's what it'll show.
Okay, let's try. We'll keep track. The other thing I can do, I might be able to quickly log into. Hang on 1 second. Bear with us. We'll let everything sink in. If I share, can I share Safari too? I'm in Google Chrome right now. Okay.
If it's pulled up, I think.
Safari. Okay. All right. Yep. Let's see if I can do it that way. We'll get there. All right. I feel like this, let's try it. We'll try. I don't know if it's going to pull it up in my, but let's try. I really like to show that it's so much more powerful if I could show it, but that's okay. Can always, let's see. All right, I'm in my lab portal right now. And I obviously want to share my own. I'm going to share my own tests on this one. Okay, cool. Perfect. All right, let me see if this will. Hang on. We're getting there. All right, let's see. Did it pull it up? Oh, it's right. It's not bringing it up in Chrome or Safari. It's just making it a separate tab. Arr, I really thought I had this in my portal. God, man. Let me try one more time, guys, and then I'll just talk about it. It's fine. And then for next time, maybe next time I can do a continuation. You know what I mean? And then I'll go over it. I could do that actually. Um, I wonder why entire screen. So I share that. And now it's not sharing. Entire screen. Yeah, I might have to just, doesn't want to share its entire screen either. Sad. I'm sure that there is a way. It's just I'm not tech savvy.
Yeah.
Sad. All right. Well, we will. We will carry on. Sorry. It's all
Good.
rolling with the punches.
Right.
All right. So what I'll do is next time I'll talk about I'll choose a topic that has to go with it, but I can pull that up too so that I can show the other health panel. But at least we got to see the DNA of nutrition, which is really important. The other one that I wanted to bring up is really looking at, I talked about different biological areas that we also test for. And so what we can see just based on our genetics is areas where we may be deficient nutritionally. Now, again, because it's a genetics test, that doesn't mean that we are. It means that we may be predisposed to something or we have an increased need somewhere. And what's really powerful there, and this is what I'll share next time because I can share two examples side by side, is that when we get our other testing done, like hormones and metabolism and gut health, we can actually see if the genes are being expressed. So say, for instance, on someone's genetic testing, we might have a setup with our genetic code that we have a predisposition for our vitamin B's being lower and our magnesium, right? So B vitamins and magnesium being lower. Well, what are these important for? These are important for our energy, for our metabolism cycles. So when someone comes to me and they say, I feel run down all day, I'm so tired, where is this fatigue coming from? Yes, we can look in a lot of different places to see where low energy and fatigue is coming from. But a lot of times I'm keyed in and I really want to look at how our metabolism cycles are firing and going. So what we can do is take a look in genetics. Okay, we have a predisposition where the enzymes that encode for using the B vitamins, using the magnesium to fire our metabolism cycles, maybe there's a priority there where we may need some supplements or may need to supplement with our nutrition for supporting more B vitamins and more magnesium. Then we look on our actual metabolism labs to see, yeah, we are deficient or insufficient in B vitamins and magnesium. So then for that particular client, for say 2 or 3 months, we may take a B vitamin, complex vitamin, and a magnesium supplement to get those levels to where they should be. It does not have to be forever. We'll also construct a nutrition plan that have foods that are chocked full of those things too. So I know, again, the theme of this that I keep bringing up is that we hear all of this information and someone will say, I really feel like my energy levels are in their gutter and they don't know what to do about it. I've tried this, I've tried that, I've tried this. Well, when we actually know what is missing or what we need to boost up on, what we may be deficient in, then we can just literally go to that source. And if we are deficient in B vitamins, take some B vitamins, then we know exactly what to do. Because a lot of people will come to me and say, maybe I need some B vitamins. I hear that that's good for energy, right? And we take all these things and we try all of these things. And then when it doesn't work, we get into throw in the towel mode. We get frustrated about it. And so if we can actually test and see, based on your genetics, you may have an increased need for B vitamins and magnesium. Let's take a look at your metabolism. Yep, it looks like that cycle that depends on those two things isn't firing like it should, isn't running in that cycle as it should. This may be contributing to you feeling run down, having fatigue, tired all the time, not waking up refreshed, what have you. So then we can supplement for, say, 2 months, 3 months with some B and some mag, and then we see how you're feeling. But we take all of this into consideration. There are other components that may play a role here too, like I mentioned, maybe hormones and maybe gut health. But we don't know that information until we test for it. And that's why genetics testing can be so powerful, because we're looking at those different biological areas of the body that we have some control over. We can switch those genes on or off depending on our lifestyle choices. So next time when I come in, I'll show you the different biological areas that we can test for, but they include things like inflammation, oxidative stress in the body, methylation. We know methylation is important for cellular repair, DNA repair. We want to make sure that we are repairing our DNA that can get damaged throughout our lives from toxins, from exposures, from nutrition, from stress. If we're not adequately methylating and repairing our DNA can replicate with a damaged copy. And we know that damaged copies replicated over and over can set us up for symptoms, can set us up for illness, chronic disease, and even cancer risk. So it's very powerful to know this information and have it at your fingertips. And again, it kind of eliminates that like trial and error and guessing at all of the different diets, all of the different plans. Why don't we just take a look at what foods are best for your DNA, what plan is best for your DNA, and then we can guide you. From there, from the DNA health panel that I'll share with you guys next time, on that panel, we can actually see too, what are some foods that are really powerful for your genetic code? Do you need to focus more on fiber? Do you need to bring in more cruciferous vegetables? Are you set up for, based on your genetics, a deficiency in omega-3 fatty acids? Things like that. So also it tells you kind of foods to focus on your diet too. So we get a nutritional foundation, we get foods to bring in and focus on, and it's all based on testing instead of guessing. So I hope that this makes sense. And I know we kind of jumped around a little bit, but it's very powerful when we have that at our fingertips. And I think for many of the clients that I work with, my community that I work with, they've been through the ringer with up and down of constant dieting, yo-yo dieting, on and off that roller coaster, because we just try everything. So if you're one of those people that say, I've tried everything and nothing works for me, well, we just have to get down to the nitty gritty and make it really specific and find out, again, like that test said, it's personalized healthcare. It's personalized to you, and your genetics doesn't change over time. So have you ever tried a diet, right? Or tried a plan or jumped on a program or something like that. And maybe you got results for 2 or 3 weeks or a month or something like that, but it was too restrictive, or you weren't able to maintain that or sustain that. And it was just too hard. And you didn't know going forward, this is not a lifelong plan for me. And that's what we want with our health. We talk about longevity. We talk about aging gracefully. We talk about not having to make such sacrifices, right? To get to where we want, to get to the results that we want, the progress that we want, that kind of optimal vision that we have for overall wellness. We want that sustainability. Nobody wants to be jumping from diet to diet on and on the bandwagon, on and off the bandwagon all the time. That's just a recipe for disaster. And that's not the way that we make progress either. So when we have that really specific plan that we can follow, it eliminates all of that. And it's literally a plan that we can lock in for life. And of course, we make adjustments along the way. Our bodies are always changing. We're in different seasons of change. So we have to be open to being experiments of that. But it at least locks in what you need to do going forward, so you don't have to keep trying all things all the time. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of what I wanted to share today. And I apologize, you guys, for all of the snafus. And you know what? Next time I can share the DNA health panels. And yes, we'll talk about the genetics of nutrition, but I'll really dive into the genetics of health, because that's what that report is about too. So if I kind of got some hamster wheels turning about like, oh yeah, inflammation, I feel like I might really struggle with inflammation too, or stress on my body. Am I holding this in my body somewhere? We'll look at that. I talked about the methylation as well, so we can dive deeper in that. A lot of people love to see their insulin sensitivity panels and their lipid metabolism panels, which are on there, and bone health. And this really is telling us, are we predisposed to cardiometabolic conditions, right? And if we are, that's okay, because now we have that information and we know what to do about it. We can structure a plan that's very supportive of that and supportive of you and your goals. Are we predisposed to osteopenia or osteoporosis down the line, bone loss? We can see that on that bone health panel. So what do we do? Now we have the information. What do we do about that? How can we support you with both your nutrition and with exercise too? We'll start some weight bearing exercises, things like that. So we can even tailor this to exercise as well. But yeah, it gets really fun and it gets exciting for people. And a lot of times it's like it unlocks a different way of thinking about our health. And a lot of times people will be like, well, that totally validates why I, turn to snacks all throughout the day. I have that like missing link with the satiety cue. I don't feel those hunger cues. That makes sense. Instead of us blaming ourselves and thinking that we don't have any willpower, we don't have any self-discipline. I hear this all the time. I know what to do, but I just don't know why I can't do it. I self-sabotage myself, all of these things. Well, when we get the reports back and people can kind of validate how they feel with that information, it's like a weight is lifted off your shoulders. No, you're not a willpower weakling. No, it's not that you self-sabotage yourself or that you have no self-discipline. This is literally in your genetics that you're not as sensitive to feeling these cues with eating. So how do we support you with that? It's not on you. It's not your fault. How many times in our journey, especially when we're trying to get our nutrition right, we're trying to eat healthy, all of these things, do we put it on ourselves and do that negative self-talk, talk down on ourselves, and it's my fault, I keep failing, right? What I like to do is empower people to know that it's actually not. There are physiological reasons for why we eat and why we do the things we do, but it's our responsibility on our health journey to uncover that and figure out those reasons why, and we can do that through the testing. So
I love that. I love that you said testing instead of guessing. I mean, that's great. That's
right. It is. And that's in functional medicine. We do have that phrase. We like to say, if we're not testing, we're guessing. I mean, we really are, and there are other tests that we can do too, like food allergies and sensitivity tests and all of that as well, to see really what's going on. But I think for those who are really invested in their health journey, this is part of that investment. So it just comes with part of the package. And I tell a lot of people too, I'm like, once we get these tests, like it's just gold. We have so much information for a lifetime that we can go off of.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
It reminds me of how we do, like when we're going into a career, we do all sorts of personality testing to see what kind of career we would be best at,
right?
Be most successful at. But this is, that deeper level of how do we be successful at being healthy?
Yes.
And, finding those testings to really go in there and fine tune it. So I love it.
Yeah.
I want to come to you and say, hey, Amber, watched your workshop. I absolutely loved everything you said. How do I sign up for some testing to do my DNA testing? So what would the process look like for you?
Yes, and I'll drop my link in the chat. We'll do I'm basically offering a consultation. So
Okay.
I like to kind of get to know you, what you've tried, where you're currently at, what your goals are and frustrations. And then I'll explain how the testing works to you too, and how that would be set up. And I really work on, of course, with all of this, we know it has to be really that one-on-one approach so that I can give you the direction, the instruction that's best for you that you would need. So yeah, I'll drop my link right in the chat so that we can literally set up a time to chat. It is not like a pitch or anything like that. It's an information call. It's an information call a lot of times for me because I'm learning about you and where you're at and where you want to be. And that's the most important part. And then I can explain more about the testing and all of what we do so that you have that background. So let me drop that in here. Super exciting. Let's see. And we'll do, yeah. Perfect. And there it is. Yes. That takes me right to my booking page. You just set up the date and time that you want to chat. When you go there, don't be too overwhelmed. It's an hour-long session that's booked. I just make sure that we have enough time because, as you guys know, we can really get into it. And when I'm talking about the tests and stuff, questions come up. So sometimes the call is like 25 minutes. Sometimes it's 40 minutes. But I make sure that we have that time to discuss, and we can talk on the phone or on a video chat similar to this. Yeah, I want to make sure I offer that to everybody. If you're interested, piques your interest even a little bit. Again, it's not like a sales pitch or anything like that. It's a getting to know you session. So
beautiful.
Yeah.
And kids, do you do genetic testing on kids too?
I have not done pediatrics yet. However, I do have practitioners within my network that do. So if you are interested in that, and I work closely with them, we've done the same training, so I know their background, I know that they're legit and they're a really good source. So if you are interested in kids testing too, just let me know and I can connect you with one of our, again, functional medicine practitioners that do that, and that's their specialty. So we'll
awesome.
leave that to them. Yeah, super fun.
Yeah. Well, your workshop was again amazing, and I can't wait to hear all the messages saying, "Oh my gosh, Amber is amazing!" Because
it's so
you're amazing.
good. And you know, it's like I apologize for all the tech stuff, but we're gonna figure this out as we go, and it just I can further reinforce this more, and we can talk about it more. So it's just exciting, and it's just
yeah. And do you feel bad on the tech stuff? I think I was this morning having, I ran the mic check and I ran the camera check, and the green button was down at the bottom, so it looked like I was able to talk. But apparently, when I downloaded the recording, nobody could hear me.
Oh no! Oh my gosh! Okay. Oh.
So that one was just completely shot, so I'm not gonna be able to upload that one. So don't feel bad for your.
Okay. Cool. It's very good. Yeah, it is what it is, and
be a master at everything, right? We have to be a master at our business of healing people and helping people, but we also have to be a master at tech, and a master at systems, a master at business.
Right. It's so crazy. And you know what? The bottom line is we'll get the message out there one way or another. And so I was like, well, you know what? We'll talk about it this time, but it's good to know that I can share that with you. And so next time I'll have that ready. But this gave a lot to kind of, digest, if we will, and get started with. So yeah.
All right, fantastic. Well, so how long are you in Texas?
I am here till Saturday. Yeah, I'm actually at like a fitness convention. So I after this, I'm gonna go get dressed and go do a workout, and so it's great. So it's really fun just meeting other people that are also very health conscious, and being in that space. There's different speakers that will be here over the weekend, so the week, so it'll be really cool. So yeah.
Oh, very cool.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we will download this replay and post it in the reception. So
awesome. So cool. Thank you so much. I love this, as you know, and I really just appreciate the opportunity to get to talk to everyone.
Yeah. And everyone too, Amber is in our community. So if you can find her in there, you can send her a message, watch her replay. It's that whole community is for reaching out to people like Amber and the healers that we have on the platform to start building those relationships, to sit there and ask her questions. So I know, a lot of you will go back and watch the replay, but taking this one step further beyond today, it's going to be in that community. And that's why we're building it. That's why we are there showing up and, want to support you in your journey and give you, equip you with these things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's exciting. I love everything that's happening with everybody.
So exciting. Awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Amber, and you enjoy
Yeah.
Texas.
Exactly. Thank you so much. We'll talk
Right.
soon. Bye, everybody. Bye.